Hello and good evening to our friends, family, neighbors, community members, and pets near and far. My name is Rebecca Starr, also known as Becca. I am the Literature and Language Librarian at Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. I am so excited to see all of your faces and your video boxes tonight for this truly special event. First, let's all take a few minutes to just go get our dinner and get comfortable during a special musical performance from two of Portland's favorite musicians and longtime collaborators, Kenya Hall and Kafari. We thank them deeply for taking time to make this special recording of the song Z Game.
This is Kafari. My name is Kenya Hall. Congratulations, Maya. We are so proud of you.
Thank you so much. And thank you again to Kenya and Kafari. And it is now my pleasure to hand the mic over to Sarah Campbell, who is the director of Portland Public Library, to do some introductions and to deliver our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Becca, and it's my pleasure to join you in welcoming everyone to this really special and exciting event. This is a very important night for the library. We're honored and overjoyed to host the Poet Laureate program. This is our second inauguration, so it's especially poignant and exciting for us to be transitioning from our first Poet Laureate to now Maya Williams. Also, that leads me to be honored and overjoyed to celebrate Linda's next steps and Maya's opening. These two both speak so universally to our times and so personally for our community. So this is really extremely special. I'm going to read our land acknowledgement that the library speaks at many of our public events. We believe that doing this kind of acknowledgement is a simple way of showing respect and taking a step toward correcting the stories and practices that have erased Indigenous people's history and culture, and it is a way toward inviting and honoring the truth. Portland Public Library would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the occupied and unceded territory of the Wabanaki, the people of the place where the sun first looks our way, who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We extend our respect and gratitude to the many Indigenous people and their ancestors whose rich histories and vibrant communities include the Abenaki, Maliseet, Micmac, Passamaquoddy, and Penobscot nations, and all the Native communities who have lived in Chewabunkeg for over 3,000 generations in what is now called New England and the Canadian Maritimes. We thank them for their strength and resilience in protecting this land and aspire to uphold our responsibilities according to their example. So with that, it is my true pleasure to introduce Linda Aldrich, who has been the Portland's Poet Laureate for the last 3 years. And this has been just such an exceptional 3 years of history and history making. And Linda, it's just been such a gift to have you in this role during this time. Linda Aldrich has published 3 collections of poetry: Foothold in 2008, March and Mad Women, 2012, and Ballast this year, published 2021. During her tenure as Portland's Poet Laureate, Linda hosted the Leaf of Voices poetry reading series at Portland Public Library and co-hosted the monthly Local Buzz reading series at Thomas Memorial Library in Cape Elizabeth. She also gave numerous readings and poetry workshops for organizations and school programs around the state, including the Portland Museum of Art, the Maine Poets Society, the Word Blue Hill Literary Festival, the Ocean Park Writers Conference, the Side by Side Summer Arts Institute for Teachers, Riverton Elementary School, Keene Middle School, and Falmouth High School. Linda grew up in Manchester, New Hampshire, graduated from the University of New Hampshire in English and French, and went on to get her master's in theater arts. She was a member of the repertory and director of the Young Conservatory at the American Conservatory Theater, or ACT, in San Francisco. She later received an MFA in poetry from Vermont College and turned her attention to writing and teaching, where she taught English and humanities at Ames Community College in Colorado for 12 years and most recently at Southern Maine Community College in South Portland. Linda lives in Portland with her husband, David Miller, and their adored border collie, Simba. And aren't we fortunate that Linda became a Mainer and a Portlander? So over to you, Linda.
Thank you, Sarah, for that lovely introduction. I have a few thank yous to make myself. I do want to thank Gibson Fay LeBlanc again for aligning the Poet Laureate program with the library. It was such a good move to make. I thank you, Sarah Campbell, for opening up your arms and welcoming it in. And I really want to make specific, well, not that specific, but important thank yous to both Sarah Skowinski, who is now the Adult Services Librarian, and Rebecca Starr, who's the Language and Literature Librarian, for working so closely with me as we sought to forge this new relationship. It's been a true pleasure to be able to do that for our beautiful library that serves as a community meeting place and as the literary heart of Portland. But tonight, we're here to celebrate and welcome Maya Williams as our next and 7th Poet Laureate. We will regale them with poems and other gifts before they read for us, and I will introduce Maya then. Maya joins their name to a lovable and eccentric list of poets: Martin Steingesser, Steve Luttrell, Bruce Spang, Marsha F Brown, Gibson Fay LeBlanc, and myself. On behalf of all of us, Maya, we welcome you to this family of wordsmiths, and we're here for you if you ever need us for anything whatsoever. I don't have words of wisdom for you, but I do have a couple of poems that I will read. And I chose them both because they have the word poem in them. And I thought it felt appropriate. The first poem I actually wrote last August 2020 at a point of real discouragement. I guess I'm giving you a warning. Comet in the time of pandemic. We find it under the cup of the Big Dipper, smudged fingerprint of light with a split and widening tail. Long-haired stars, the Greeks called them. This one last seen 6,800 years ago. Who on earth was looking up then to see this 3-mile diameter ball of ice and dust with enough water to fill 30 million Olympic-sized swimming pools before the Greeks built pools or carried torches to Mount Olympus in pursuit of excellence? Imagine having that much faith in what we could do. And if this comet has eyes to see, does it look down on our blue planet and know what is endured here? God knows the night sky is a mighty thing with its constellated jewels and a proper moon that hides its face and grows ever more doleful. Our lives, seen as tiny points of light in time and space, are so small. We are not perceived by the naked eye quickly enough to catch us in our bills and junk mail, our groceries, shoes, glasses, orthotics, and carefully groomed dogs. Nothing is noted, factored in, registered by even the most powerful of interstellar telescopes, if indeed anyone is looking. And the most invisible are those of us who are hungry and have given up, are given up, sitting under tarps in the high heat, all husks and eyes, parched lips, unable to ask if there is more to it. Bugs in a jar we move around a bit, then expire faster than anything else as intelligent as we think we are. And this poem means less the farther you go from it, and the going from here is endless. Forever and ever, we say about living happily at the end of our countless stories, and not an iota of evidence to support those ideals we claim to make ourselves a wee bit bigger and better. Before the Ursa Majors, our foraging greedy bears eat us and spit us out as just more frozen dust balls, casting about through time, dragging our sorry tails. Now, in an old-fashioned kind of poet laureate way, I wrote this for tonight, and I just riffed off a line from the other poem. This will lighten us up, or maybe give us a little more hope, I hope. Anyway, here we go. I haven't read it before, so this poem means more the closer it gets. It's been stalking me, this poem, always a little behind my right shoulder. When I turn to look, it's gone, but I know it's there because the white plastic bag flying in the wind turns into a snowy egret and blows over the bay. And the 3 masks I found floating at the edge of the water became small blue pools of loneliness. I sit down on a bench. What do you want, poem, I say. And of course it steps right out, wearing a long red boa and some kind of garish hat at a rakish angle. You're trying too hard, I say to poem. Whatever, poem says. By the way, poems don't wear masks and we don't like safe distances. Actually, we don't like safe. We don't die, says poem. Then why have you been so far away during the pandemic, I say. Poem raises its eyebrows. Wait a minute, that's you, not me. You kept writing me off. Too much, you'd say, and off you go to clean out another closet. What do you want, poem? I want you to write me, poem says. How do I know what you're about? Not knowing is the best part, says poem. I thought you liked that about me, my surprises. And then poem sits down and takes my hand. I am nothing without you, says poem. It's not true that I will go to someone else. I am only and ever your poem. I'm afraid my best poems are behind me, I say. Nonsense, says poem. I'm right here. And now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Gibson Fay LeBlanc. Gibson's first collection of poems, Death of a Ventriloquist, was chosen by Lisa Russ Spar for the Vassar Miller Prize and published in 2012. The book received a starred review from Publishers Weekly and was featured by poets and writers as one of a dozen debut collections to watch. Gibson's poems have appeared in magazines including Guernica, The New Republic, and Tin House, Jubilat, Field, and the Literary Review. His fiction has appeared in Slice and Portland Magazine. His second book of poems, Deek Dangle Dive, was published by Cabin Cary Press in May. With graduate degrees from UC Berkeley and Columbia University, Fay LeBlanc has taught writing at conferences, schools, and universities including Fordham, Haystack, and University of Southern Maine, and helped lead community arts organizations, including the Telling Room, Space Gallery, and Hune Oaks Artist Colony. Welcome to you, my friend Gibson.
Thanks, Linda, and thanks everybody. I too want to say just a few thank yous. It's wonderful to be a part of this tonight. So I want to say a quick thank you to Kenya Hall and Kafari for that beautiful music, because I wish I could do that, that magic. I want to say a huge thank you to Sarah and Becca at the library for opening the library's arms to the Portland Poet Laureate program and giving it a home a few years ago. And we were saying before we got on the call, you know, may there be, I know Maya is going to do amazing things as the next Poet Laureate of Portland, and may there be many more after them. So, and I want to thank Linda for taking charge and being a wonderful Poet Laureate, being somebody who thought about all the different ways to create events and interest people in poetry, which is something I care about a lot as well. It's been a wonderful and wild 3 years that I'm sure Linda never could have predicted at the beginning of this. And for Maya, I just want to say to you that, like I said, I'm so excited to see everything you're going to bring to this role, and I am ready to roll up my sleeves and help in any way you need me to, but only if you need me to, which you may not, and that's fine too. And I'll just read, I'm going to read 3 poems from my book, Deep Dangle Dive. There it is. This first poem is a poem I wrote for my brother, who died last year. The book is dedicated to him. And this is also a poem I wanted to read because it's a poem about the poems we can't write. There are always many of those. And we have the ones that we do write. So that's kind of what this poem is about. It's called Unwritten. In a poem I haven't written yet, my brother convinces me to put on hockey equipment, helmet to girdle to knee pads, and shoots and shoots and shoots in the driveway, the puck bouncing off me. In the poem I haven't written for my brother, but plan to. We throw haymakers on a hill, he headlocks me on grass, I whip hardballs at his back, we scratch and gouge until a boy jabs his finger at me and my brother swings at teeth too big for that kid's mouth. In the poem I won't let myself write, I say why I haven't written it, listing to my left with a tonnage in the bulkhead of bullshit that shifted, before admitting that I will see him with a little brother's eye, looking through isinglass. In the poem that doesn't exist, I smile rather than ask why one summer he slogged at Gold Coast dogs and walked the beach alone. I number the cracked bricks in our apartments and admit all the nicknames he gave me, even G-string. I wish for red foothills, more hours we shared while our sons dueled with swords and wands and bikes and leapt from leaning forts. In the poem I don't write, and the one I'm left with, while shadows of grander ones gesture on walls, you're worried from sleep by phantom pain and real pain, and scads of pills and insurance papers. And I get down on my knees and pray, Lee, to all I barely believe, because how else will there be decades ahead to be brothers? In this poem I don't write, then don't write more. So that's a poem. You know, I have in this book a lot of poems about poems, which is maybe not something that one should do. But I think that's also part of what tonight is about, what a Portland Poet Laureate program is about, which is about this thing, poetry. Why do we do it? Why do we care? At least some of us. You know, every few years somebody is talking about the death of poetry, and poetry lives on because we need it to, because we need to be able to say the things in poems that we say. We need the music of poems. We need the steam valve of poems. We need the justice of poems. We need the hope of poems, all of that stuff. So, so this is, so I'm going to read two more. This is Going to Church, which is also, I think, I wanted to read this tonight because I think this is a kind of church here tonight. Going to church. Church of the smallest word. Church of the eyeball and robins tuning morning light. Church of dog tongue, of sidewalk riven by daisies, of a high and tight fastball, of the shape and smell of my beloved side of the bed. Church of bricks that yesterday were building, of bread and butter and a bottle of beer, of creekstone and silver elm, of voices we hear asking in the still dark for a body to give them breath. Church of a quaver carried thousands of miles and given to the tiny bones inside an ear. Screenless, windowless church of a twisting northern wind, of the night when a wall of trees too thick to see through called to my car, of visions I shook from eyes and claimed I didn't see. I kneel here. I bring a tin cup of water to my lips. All right, so I am going to read one last poem, which is from a series that's in this book. They all have the phrase "making nothing" in them, because there's a famous quote that is often repeated: "For poetry makes nothing happen," which is true. But what's left out of that quote almost every time it's said is the rest of that poem, or the part of that poem that continues. For poetry makes nothing happen. It survives in the valley of its making, where executives would never want to tamper, flows on south from ranches of isolation and the busy griefs, raw towns that we believe and die in. It survives, a way of happening, a mouth. That's W.H. Auden who said that, who wrote that. So this is Making Nothing / the volume up to 11. Opens with a scene of me and my two boys. So Making Nothing, the volume up to 11. Nights when it's not at all hard to boil me, my boys say, suck and stupid and words don't matter, Dad. And all who've struggled to spit their tang and slush and tick, and all who've cooked them down to burnt pan smoking, and all who've fought tooth and bone with batons or with a furious self, both handed down and made by hand. Flash in me, and I, part all, part self. Flash, my gut in charge of throat and mouth and lips, and we slam doors in the way I was taught. Which are the words that don't matter? The ones spoken during the fight or the ones after? Clever's never enough. A poem is part fist, part pedal born and riding, delighting, unhidden from dying. Thanks, everybody. Thanks and good luck, Maya. We're here for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Gibson. That's beautiful, a beautiful reading. Beautiful. And next, I have the distinct pleasure of also introducing Marsha F Brown. She is the author of 5 books of poetry and the essay collection Well Read, Well Fed, a year of great reads and simple dishes for book groups. It's a great book. I love the recipes in there. Marcia served as Poet Laureate for the city of Portland from 2013 to 2015, where she edited the anthology Port City Poems, Contemporary Poets Celebrate Portland, Maine, and initiated the Words Matter Visiting Poets series, bringing nationally acclaimed poet Tony Hoagland to USM's Hannaford Hall. Marcia moved to Maine in 1984 after working as a story editor in New York City's film and television industry, and spent many years as a Portland-based real estate professional, developing affordable housing throughout Maine and beyond. For the past 10 years, she has co-hosted the monthly Local Buzz reading series featuring fiction, nonfiction, and poetry readings by area writers. A frequent reader at Maine poetry festivals and events, her poems have been read on National Public Radio and are widely published in literary journals and anthologies. A Smith College graduate, Marcia is a graduate of the inaugural class of the University of Southern Maine's Stone Coast MFA program. Many welcomes to you, Marcia.
Thank you, Linda. And I'm delighted to be here tonight to honor and celebrate Maya Williams' selection as our 7th Poet Laureate for the city of Portland. I know everybody here in Zoom land is excited to see Maya step into that role, and we look forward to her wonderful ideas and initiatives, and I'm sure will enrich our artistic and poetry community here in Portland. I'd like to take also just a minute of my time to give a shout out to poet Dennis Kamiri, who founded the Portland Poet Laureate program more than 14 years ago. I hope he's in our audience tonight. If he is, I hope he is feeling very gratified that his efforts to raise the profile of poetry in our community is continuing and growing in new ways to this day. And I'd also like to join the others in expressing our collective thanks to Linda Aldrich for her 3 years as Portland's 6th Poet Laureate, through her wonderful Leaf reading series and so many other events and projects. Linda has really been a tireless ambassador for poetry in all its forms and all its voices. She's been the first Poet Laureate to coordinate her efforts with the Portland Public Library and work to define that relationship in a productive way. So the program has been hugely enhanced by her dedication to spreading the message of poetry to a growing and evolving audience, even in the midst of a pandemic. So thank you, Linda, for your commitment and your generosity these past years. I'm going to read you 2 poems. The first one is not by me, but is also, interestingly, we didn't talk about these readings at all, but in the same vein as Linda and Gibson's, about the sometimes difficulty of writing poems. And one of the things I think all writers struggle with is the challenge to write something new, the feeling that everything worth writing about has already been expressed before, probably better than you think you could express it. So I love this little poem for how it comes to grips with that feeling. It's by the poet Linda Pastem, and it's called Rereading Frost. Sometimes I think all the best poems have been written already, and no one has time to read them, so why try anymore? At other times, though, I remember how one flower in a meadow already full of flowers somehow adds to the general fireworks effect. as you get to the top of a hill in Colorado, say, in high summer, and just look down at all that brimming color. I also tried to convince myself that the smallest note of the smallest instrument in the band, the triangle, for instance, is important to the conductor, who stands there pointing his finger in the direction of the percussions, demanding that one silvery ping. And I decide not to stop trying. Linda passed down. So now I'll read you my little triangle ping. I haven't written a lot of poems about Portland. This is one I wrote some years ago during what seemed then like a time of great change. And it's one particular day in that time. And in many ways, I think our city and our state, our country, the world is going through a time of great change again. So I thought it might resonate. And it's also my one and only poem about baseball. It's called To My Father, October 27, 2004, Portland, Maine. Glorious day today, Dad. I walked my lunch hour loop through the old port. The time and temperature building flashed "Go Sox" over and over against a towering blue sky. I had to think of you, your day and night obsession with the pennant race in '67, the impossible dream, they called it, and radio stations played that tremulous Broadway showstopper without restraint. Jack Kennedy had been gone 4 years. Neil Armstrong had not yet gained the moon, guiding our small, dusty toes to touch down alongside his. Tonight, you know, is the possible parting of the Red Sea, the 4th game of the World Series, those miraculous mangy Sox miraculously up by 3. Fellow pedestrians look up and quickly down again. Humbled by the curse of the Bambino, they hold their incipient joy in check, respect whatever cosmic forces are at work here. On Middle Street, Martin the poet is walking on stilts, wearing circus silks and offering poems to the sidewalk. Martin, I say, I would love a poem. Martin smiles like some inscrutable small god of happiness, kicks one stilted leg in front of him, and leans down to hand me a card. His gently crafted poem on one side, statistics on the war in Iraq on the other. He does not mention next Tuesday's election, the warring president who wants desperately to storm on, senator from Boston who wants desperately to stop him. He writes, "The world is a drum. Listen to the earth." Tonight, too, there will be a total lunar eclipse over the hemisphere, over Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The moon will become a red moon as the shadow of the earth passes over it. There are those who say the moon hands down messages to us. I know that you, with your strange mathematical mind, are weaving all of these omens into patterns of probability, the way you handicapped horses for 40 years, trifectas, perfectas that never came in. But I was raised in Boston in that era of glory and loss. I can't afford to think that way today. I want to think that finally, in some afterlife, your numbers add up. If it helps your intricate calculations, I can tell you this. At noon today, the streets were warm and bright as Camelot. Poetry floated into open hands. There was the promise of a red moon we might touch. our tower gleamed and dared us to look up and bet against all odds on that old horse, hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Beautiful choices. I'm glad you brought in Linda Pastan, and the poem that you just read is phenomenal. I love how we did carry a theme sort of through our readings without realizing it. And I love hearing us end on the word hope. We so all need that after the year and a half we've been through. And now we come to our special section, our most special new person who is going to be the next Poet Laureate of Portland. And I am going to introduce them, and then they are going to open some gifts that have been delivered previously. And then they will do a reading. So let me go ahead with the introduction first of all. Maya Williams, there she is. I had lunch with her. She's a beautiful person. Maya Williams, a, they, she, is a Black, mixed race, queer, non-binary person, suicide survivor, and poet residing in Portland, Maine. They currently serve as MaineTransNet Sexual Assault Program Coordinator, where they develop peer support groups for trans survivors and educational material on trauma-informed trans competency for advocates. They also serve as co-hosts of the video series Dying/Laughing, which analyzes the representation of suicide and mental health in TV and film. Maya has published poetry in Glitter Mob, Oculum, the Portland Press Herald, Literal Books, Freeze Ray, and more. A has received residencies from organizations such as Sundress Academy for the Arts, SAFTA, Voices of Our Nation Arts, Bona Foundation, the For Us, By Us Funds Words of Fire Retreat, and the Hune Oaks Artist Colony. She is a Maine Writers and Publishers Association chapbook finalist, a Best of the Net nominee, and a winner of Port Fringe's Patron's Choice Award for her spoken word performance when speaking to an extraterrestrial. You can see Maya as one of the 3 selected artists of color to represent Maine in the Kennedy Center's Arts Across America series, hosting open mics Tuesdays for Port Veritas and facilitating writing workshops for Quill Books and Beverage Sundays. Follow them at their website at mayawilliamspoet.com. And now, Maya, if you would take your big box, have you got that handy? Pretty. And it does have some tape on 3, so yeah. You're muted, hon. You have to unmute.
I meant to keep myself muted still because I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah, look at the flower on this. It's gorgeous. Oh my goodness.
Okay, dig in.
Ooh, oh my God. So as I'm digging in, oh my God, thank you for all of the love in the chat and all of the people present here tonight and for being so responsive to the text messages I sent you all about tonight. Oh my God, I feel so emotional because I'm just so happy. Oh my God, thank you to the Portland Public Library for this incredible honor, and thank you for the committee who took so much time and this long nomination process and for selecting me. Thank you for the people who nominated me in the first place. Oh my God, thank you to to Marcia for your lovely, lovely, lovely triangle ping of a poem. Thank you to Gibson for reminding us of the importance of poetry, because yes, I am going to need you during my position as Portland Laureate. I look forward to our Copy by Design meetings again now that things are opening back up. Thank you, Linda Aldrich, for your service for the past 3 years. And also, I look forward to emailing you my feedback about your book. Please purchase Linda's book if you haven't yet. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to read it. Thank you, Linda, for brunch. And thank you for these stickers to put in my future book. Here's to hoping and praying that I publish a book in time for me to actually use the stickers to put them in there. Thank you. And oh my God, oh my God. Ah!
Under the flower.
Oh my God. Beautiful wrapping paper and beautiful flower. Oh my God. Oh my God, there's more flowers underneath. Oh wow. Oh my God, oh my God. I'm so glad this is all happening. Oh wow, I have 2 headpieces tonight. Yes, thank you. I am flower royalty. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Here's this flower again. And oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh my God. What? What? Ah! Wow! This is cool.
That you don't need to pay too much attention to right now. Just open the big thing.
I'm so because I know it's oh my God. Oh wow! Wow! What? What?
I want you to know that has been passed down since the beginning, with Martin is the first name on it, and you will be adding your name to it. And we called it a pen, but it looked like a stick. And so my wonderful neighbor, Ted Mayer, who does beautiful woodworking, made a fountain pen nib on one end. Can you hold it up again, Maya, just to show the pen end of the, the pen, there we go. Isn't that, wow. It looks like a pen now.
It does.
Many thanks to Ted Mayer for doing
Thank
that.
you, Ted. Oh my goodness. And I have, like, I need to show this gorgeous bouquet. Went to meet Becca at the library. Oh my God, look at these. Look at how gorgeous they are. Oh my goodness. Like, what?
So Maya,
yes.
you choose to wear your laurel wreath or not, it's up to you. It looks very pretty.
I want to keep wearing it. Thank you, Snow Family Farms, for the flowers.
Lost you the pen. You are now the Poet Laureate of Maine, #7. Let's all give a big.
Thank you all so much. Oh my God. And this card, I got this card along with the flowers. It says, congratulations on becoming Portland's newest Poet Laureate. We are so excited to work with you. Sincerely, Becca and the Portland Public Library team. Thank you all so much. Oh my God. Shout out to Becca for organizing so many things and for receiving a lot of my family members' emails in order to make sure they came tonight. And just thank you so much. Oh, ooh. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of water. Self-care is important because I'm so excited and so nervous all rolled into one. I have an anxiety disorder, and I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. Like I bought a whole new dress just for tonight, and I'm just so happy.
That was so much fun to watch you do that.
Thank you.
So don't be nervous. It's an exciting time, and have fun reading, and we can't wait.
Thank you all so much. Oh, thank you all so much. The following poems. Oh, thank you to all the people who are texting me. I promise I will answer all of your text messages after this event. And I hope that the previous poet laureates received my private messages. And also, oh my God, thank you, Ahmad and Kenya, for your gorgeous music. I know that I sent you text messages about it, but it was super gorgeous, and it especially made me excited to get to hear your music within this context, because I'm always such a huge fan of y'all's work. Thank you so much. Okay, the following poems tonight. Want to give a huge thank you to my Sunday morning workshops with Quill Books and Beverage, to the Port Veritas Open Mic Series, Randolph College's Low Residency MFA program, the Words of Fire Retreat for Women and Femmes of Color in 2018, who are all responsible for the writing of these pieces. A content warning before I read. I love the love in the chat. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love you all so much. Some content warnings for the pieces I'm going to read. I do read pieces that mention suicide, religion, police brutality, mental health, grief, and death. So please take care of yourselves as needed. If you need to put me on mute during certain subject matters or things of that nature, you will not hurt my feelings. I much rather you take care of yourself. And when you're a better headspace to listen to these poems, there will be a recording available 2 weeks after the event. So please do not hurt yourself. And thank you all again for being here. And I'm gonna read from my phone, and I guess this shows my age compared to all the previous poet laureates. Because I was contemplating whether or not to print, and I was like, no, I don't have enough time. So yeah, I will read the poems from my phone. And I also mentioned dermatillomania, which is a skin picking disorder correlated with obsessive compulsive disorder and anxiety. And yeah, thank you all. This first poem is called Constellations, and you can actually read this poem in the zine Faith in Full Color, created by Harmeet Kamboj. Band-aids have been longer imprints on my skin than the 2 tattoos who remain. How often do they exchange eye contact when another disposable visitor arrives in the neighborhood of my body? I would like to believe, as long as there's no blood close to their backyard, they won't pay the medical stickers any mind. I wouldn't call my dermasaurs tattoos, just a constellation of self-injury that wakes, walks, and sleeps with me. A bearded poet in New Hampshire once told his listeners, "You are sky." Am I right to believe that? Am I right to call byproducts of a compulsive disorder what astrologers and literature respected for centuries? Are my tattoos comets trying to singe the stars to bits, or are they moons holding space in permanent stasis? Rotation so slow the human eye can't comprehend it. Thank you. And also some context, I was brought up in a slam poetry community. So hopefully from where you are at home, you're in a space where you're comfortable enough to snap along or go oof and yes, while you're still muted, of course. But yeah, I just want y'all to have a good time listening to these poems and don't feel like you have to just sit and stare the whole time in a permanent ways in your bodies. Please take care of your bodies as you're listening. This next poem is after the poet Kaveh Akbar, and this is in honor of my Uncle Mitchell, who passed away a few months ago, and today is his birthday. So I wanted to be sure that I share this poem. And it's called Papa J's Gone Like Iron Man, Isn't He? Action figures escape from Papa J's casket. Action figures flash out of unfamiliar acquaintances' phones. Event programs of pre-cancer Papa J are picked up as every attendee's personal action figure. Each daffodil in the sanctuary is an action figure bright and ready for battle. Women are rocking their action figure ornamented church hats. Men are stunting in their action figure ties. All accessorized adornments are action figures that have been taken out of hiding from their closets. Bees buzz action figures near the window. Windows reek action figures too. Bible pages are flipped open by the pastor and action figures spill out from every one. The pulpit is an action figure. Microphone is an action figure. The organ is a whole ass action figure, as well as the notes that spew out of it. Walls are all action figures. Seats are all action figures. People seated soon become action figures. Liam, age 7, is right about the conclusion of all our favorite heroes. Thank you. Ooh. Please remember to breathe out there. I wanted to be sure to include poems for both of my grandmothers on my in my set list tonight. So this is for my maternal grandmother, and this is called For Granny's Hot Combs No Longer in Use. My maternal grandmother does not own hot combs anymore. Updated technology in straightening out kinks and curls makes the hot comb practically non-existent. No more fascination with the metal device heating on top of the stove, the hair grease seated nearby for emphasizing the heat smoothing from her roots to her ends. No more allowing time to settle as she waits for the temporary redness of the comb. Instead of an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours, flat irons cut the time in half. We are hustling more nowadays. I should have the natural instinct to view the hot comb and other tools after it as a weapon against the resistance to norms we call our hair. But there is intimacy the hot comb provides. Did the misunderstandings lead to faster tools as a way to escape the conformity faster? But my grandmother is no conformist. Hair picks, laces, and wigs were in her arsenal of grooming preparations as well. The hot comb has been her longest go-to in her unconventional style. And now it's gone. Thank you. This is a new poem. Also, I should have given a content warning that I use swear words sometimes in my poems. My apologies in advance for folks who are very uncomfortable with swear words. But that won't keep me from just reading them in my poems because I have prepared this set list for a week. But yeah, I just want to make sure that I name that. And yeah, this next poem is for my paternal grandmother, we call Grandma Reese or Reese. And this is a new poem. And for folks in slam community, there's a certain phrase you say when there's a new poem. Yes, thank you, Sama. Yes, 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 yes. I can't wait for in-person open mic gatherings that are gonna happen more and more. Reese is exactly how she raised her sons to view God. Miraculous. I feel her spirit when she cradles babies in her arms to sniff their necks, the only perfection she calls to witness. I feel holy in her love when I hold her body in my arms. We both differ in our definitions of perfection. Thank you. In this next poem, for like, I think it's been 2 years now, I've been working on a series of poems that identify different scenes of suicide in the Bible, whether that be a completed suicide or suicidal ideation or an attempted suicide. I pick out different parts of the Bible and try to analyze that. A couple of them are persona poems. Most of them, the speaker is me reflecting on it. So it's very interesting, like being in a place where it's like, oh, what is the speaker saying? And then 90% of the time, it's like I'm the speaker, but we don't have to unpack that quite yet. This poem, though, is about the biblical person Samson, and I will read a verse of that section before going into the poem. I love this chat so much. Samson and Suicide. Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." He pushed hard and the temple collapsed on the rulers and all the people in it. He killed many more people in his death than he had killed during his life. The book of Judges, chapter 16, verse 30. From the moment Samson had his hair cut, he let go of his strength, his sheets, his lion carcass trophy, his indulgence in honey, his riddles, his fiance's tears, his kingdom, his team of fellow soldiers, his parents' respect, his ropes, his shackles. He took people with him and was praised for it. I thought that cutting my hair would help me let go. I refused to take anyone with me. I still do. Thank you. This next poem, my partner and I, when the pandemic first started, we watched all 4 seasons of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and we loved it. And I wrote a whole sestina about this one particular episode, my absolute favorite episode. It's from season 3, episode 6. And before I read the poem, the title has shifted a few times. Now the title is, "What are you watching now?" I will read an excerpt from the episode and then go into the poem. Valencia. Rebecca, please, promise me you'll never do it again. Rebecca, I would love to promise you that. I'd love to promise you all that, but I can't. Gabrielle Ruiz as Valencia and Rachel Bloom as Rebecca, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, season 3, episode 6. I'm surprised no tears streamed down my face while watching this. Valencia talks about the necessity for hope, but in reality, she's scared. If I saw this when I was first thinking about suicide, maybe I wouldn't have made any false promises to my parents after my attempt. I didn't see this soon enough on television. The concept of healing is an overnight band-aid on television. I almost gave up on this show, and then this scene landed in my face. As much as I love my family, I don't owe them pinky promises when it comes to my mental health. Honesty has to be much healthier than hope. I didn't tell them enough how much I wanted to die even after my attempt at suicide. Black people have the lowest rates of suicidal deaths, but we are still scared of how to stay alive without pressure. Scared because of the many deaths we had before, including what isn't shown on television. Rachel Bloom had low ratings on top of mentioning suicide more than once before this specific episode. She is not Black, but having to face the fear of cancellation and maintain the hope for another season's creative promises must have been difficult. It's good Rebecca didn't make any promises. Although not in the same way as Valencia, she too is scared. Finally receiving a diagnosis did not force the notion or idea of hope to come to her. Critiquing showy faux empowerment on television through song beforehand made that clearer to face for viewers unfamiliar with mental health and suicide. No one ever wants their loved one to die by suicide. We make Shooting Star, 11/11, birthday wishes, and prayers for promises of livelihood and happiness for them to face. Through that effort, we don't talk enough about what makes us scared. Sometimes the unexpected yet remarkable gift of television can help us see what's scary. Oddly, that's the unexpected form of hope we needed. It's not fair how it's seen as cheesy to talk about hope, while simultaneously it's a weaponized distraction to keep from talking about suicide in the first place. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on television continues to make me think of how I could have articulated my lack of promises better to my loved ones, how I could have articulated how scared both me and my loved ones were, how to let tears stream down my parents' face. Consider this scene a step in normalizing the permission to not make promises. Consider this scene a step in normalizing the permission to talk about suicide. Consider this scene a step in normalizing the permission to crave this on television. Thank you. So what y'all can't see is like, I have snacks and Gatorade and just all this water, but like, yeah, just trying to have all the things to take care of myself. Oh, thank you all so much in the chat. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. This next poem, I had the honor and privilege to read this poem for the Kennedy Center in November. And I got to perform alongside Ateem Shanzera and the artist Firefly. And it was amazing. And I actually love this poem because it talks about my love for like print a bookstore in Portland, Maine, and and a love for my partner, and a love for Wanda Coleman as a poet, may she rest in power. And also it addresses the issues I have with Maine as someone who's lived here for, oh my God, almost 4 years. So this poem is called For Wanda Coleman's Wicked Enchantment, or What Are You Reading Now? I have waited 3 months for Wanda Coleman's book. It kept getting delayed. Phone calls did not make the delivery faster. Neither did breezing through books I had in the meantime. 1 week ago, it arrived at Print Bookstore, safe in its brown paper bag at the curbside. The pages smooth to touch with no worn discoloration, but they know it will come in my captivity. This week, my anxiety threatens my mortality. Withdrawal-induced headaches from lack of internal chemical vibrations. Withdrawal-induced spit builds under my tongue from lack of dry mouth. Tears over an article about police officers who got fired for killing porcupines instead of for killing Black people. I read Wanda's work, wrapped in my partner's plaid blanket. I realize that God waited for the right time for me to read Sustenance. Sonnets that decolonize my mind about form, idioms that hold me like both of my grandmother's arms in an embrace, room to cast curses to mitigate apocalyptic harm. It's too cold outside. And amidst all the upheaval God allowed, amidst the wait for new medication, amidst the need to take a break from the news cycle, God gave space for soup. Thank you. This is one of my favorite poems, and it was incredible to read this in person at George Floyd's memorial, hosted by Indigo Arts Alliance, Maine Inside Out, amongst many others. And it's because it was my first time reading this in person to a bunch of Black and brown femmes on Congress Street, because that's what the poem is about Black and brown femmes who walk up and down Congress Street in Maine. And I got to do that. And for context, how I define the word femme, it includes basically any person of a marginalized gender who expresses any form of fluid femininity. So that's who I got to know when I first moved here, and that's the community I would like to make sure I hone in as I continue to live here. And this poem is after the poets Olivia Gatwood and Jennifer Javant, to the Black and brown femme with earbuds in their ears. I want to write a poem to every Black and brown femme with earbuds in their ears, slowly strolling or quickly pacing on Congress Street every morning to catch a bus, catch an appointment, catch someone who had the nerve to try them. I want to write a poem to every Black and brown femme with earbuds in their ears, hands in pockets for warmth, only making eye contact with fellow Black and brown people before their separate turns at their respective intersections. I want to write a poem to every Black and brown femme with earbuds in their ears, listening to songs or podcasts they feel they can never play at home or work, or they do play them at both places and need repetition in their steps downtown. I want to write a poem to every Black and brown femme with earbuds in their ears, turning the volume up to block out the pro-lifers, the catcallers, the dead namers, the misgenderers, the well-meaning white strifers. I want to write a poem to every Black and brown femme with earbuds in their ears, because all day in our shoes is a struggle for us. All day trying to stay alive is a struggle for us, and we will wake up to walk up and down or run up and run down Congress Street anyway. Thank you. Whew. I have one more poem, and this is another Bible suicide poem, but I promise it ends on a very positive note. Oh, I love y'all so much. The chat is so wonderful, and thank you again for this space of celebration. I keep telling people in my life that I've been on such an excitement high for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and I appreciate so much of the love because it reminds me that I'm doing something right. Because the moment someone tells me I'm doing something wrong, that's an indicator that I don't deserve this position, but because of all of the celebration and love coming my way, it's a nice reminder that I am doing something right. So thank you all, and this is my final poem. Paul's externalized response to his jailer's attempted suicide, after Lindsay Young. When the jailer woke up and saw the doors of the prison standing open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself because he assumed the prisoners had escaped. The book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 27. Hey, look at me, man. I can't stop you from what you want to do or whatever thoughts emerge in your head. I can tell you that it's not your fault. You don't have to be trapped here anymore. Hey, look at me, man. There is a light in these cavernous tunnels of ours. Fuck the end of it, because there's no end for us to get to. Hey, look at me, man. How about we try living? Thank you all so much.
Maya, you are just bursting out of our computer screens, and I am so excited to be able to do in-person programming again. And just, I'm just so excited already because you are just bursting out of the computer, and we are so ready to see you in person. I want to invite everyone to take a moment. I'm gonna unspotlight myself, and I'm gonna let everyone take a moment to unmute and applaud or congratulate Maya. I will also have the, if you want to put something in the chat, I will share the chat with them. So yeah, so have at it, folks.
Yeah, Maya.
Yeah, Maya. You go, girl.
Thank you all so much for coming. And I want to thank Linda. It's been such a joy to work with you in the Poet Laureate role. And really COVID really threw us for a loop, and you just stepped right into the online programming. So thank you so much. And thank you to Gibson and Marsha, as always, for reading. And Maya, congratulations. I am I am so excited to work with you. And everyone here knows how wonderful you are already. I don't even need to sing your praises, and yeah, I can't wait. So thank you all so much.